And just in time, welcome back to Rosette FC. Myself, Ed Cavalier, James Dodd, and Adam Peacock for your roundup of the stories that make us tick in the week of football. Big thanks to our sponsors, Syrian Regime Change. If you are looking for a swift regime change, then hit us up, Syrian Regime Change, and we can provide statues to drag behind Hiluxes for you to ride, and we can provide AK-47s to shoot out of your seemingly suburban vehicle. I'm Ed Cavalier, and it is great to have me here. James, welcome aboard.
Hello, gentlemen. I don't know how I can follow that introduction, to be honest, but I know the Toyota Hilux is very popular where we come from, so maybe it will hit hard with the audience.
Loving it. And also, a man known to a bit of regime change over the journey, Adam Peacock.
Thank you, Ed. Fortunately, as yet, I haven't had to seek out Airbnb options in Moscow, but I'm happy to be here.
Just quickly, our actual sponsors, supporters this week, are Classic Football Shirts and Ultra Football. You can see my full report on football this afternoon / tonight on Channel 10 this coming Saturday, and then on socials. Foolishly, they took me down there and had a great time and forgot to bring me the shirt that I had asked for. So instead, I took this. I took a Ronaldo.
For our audio listeners, can you describe this beauty that you're holding up?
Well, you know the Shroud of Turin.
It's an antique.
The supposed burial cloth of Jesus. It's like that, but better.
Yeah.
With number 9 on the back. Jesus, number 9.
Yeah, 3. Yeah, no, he wore 3.
Just check, Ed, if you go and wear that and go for any physical activity, your patellas and the tendons that go into the patellas, because
that is some of the worst YouTube footage. You can still hear the snap when he's playing, when real Ronaldo plays, and then anyway.
Thank you. You called him that. You called him that.
Real Ronaldo.
It is so, like, people of our vintage, it is. There is so much pleasure to call the other guy Cristiano and the other guy Ronaldo, if not real Ronaldo. Thank you, Ed.
I'm happy to be here. All right, so we've each picked something from the depths of football this week. We're all dancing around the idea that Ange will be sacked by Tottenham soon. That does seem. I've noticed in my hectic listening schedule, I try and listen to as many football shows as I can a week. I have to listen on 1.5. And once you skip through, posh people complaining that they get paid to go to football games, then you find that they've mainly come to a consensus that he's on the out. What are you two? Which makes me very sad, obviously. What are you two hearing / knowing?
Yeah, it's very interesting for being over here, whilst this is...
you are in the UK at the moment,
I'm over in the UK at the moment, and I've got a lot of friends who I grew up with who are Tottenham fans. My dad's a Tottenham fan. He's a pretty level-headed one at that. He's seen a lot of rubbish over the years, and he's seen the good stuff, so he doesn't get too high and too low. And I think after that, the Bournemouth loss, where Ange was then, you saw the press conference clips come out afterwards, said, I don't need the support. I don't care if they were throwing things at me in terms of, verbal insults and whatnot and criticisms of the team afterwards. And I listened the following day on TalkSport, actually. It was a former Tottenham player they had on there, and they said that we love Ange and they really like what he's trying to do, but you can't say things like that because ultimately it's when things start going against you, like Daniel Levy, who's had to change multiple coaches over the years, he will always think what some of the fans' sentiment is. And if the fans love them, they'll go, you know what, this would be an unpopular move. We can see what he's trying to do. I think people can see what Ange is trying to do. But when things like that happen, and then it's a bit of, I don't care what you think, we're doing it my way and that's it. I think that has the ability to turn some people that were maybe thinking, you know what, no, I'll stay on board with this. It has the ability to turn people the other way and think, you know what, I don't want this from a head coach. I don't want someone who feels like this doesn't hear us. As much as coaches tend to hear sometimes, I think they'll go, you know what, actually at least he's acknowledged it. And I think maybe that was a bit of a turning point. And the Chelsea game, Adam, I was, before we jump into you, I was watching that game here, and the commentary that I saw afterwards from pundits in the UK, people who like Ange, people who respect what he's trying to do, they made a very good point. Tottenham have now lost 19 Premier League games of the last 40.
Ooh.
That's not good enough. Like that's not a philosophy. That's a flaw. So it makes me think that, unfortunately, if he doesn't tweak this and he doesn't change this and he doesn't at 2-0 up in games sit back and go, you know what, we're not going to play my way. We're actually going to manage the game and sit back and say, come and get us, and then we'll pick you off. I think it's going to be his downfall.
Well, James, you've just come up with a T-shirt for starters. That's not a philosophy, that's a flaw. So congratulations
like that,
on that. Love that line. Look, and Ange won't, knowing him, he won't change markedly. He might make tweaks. He has to make tweaks because, I mean, you look at his system last season, it started to go wrong when Mickey van der Ven got injured. And now he's without Romero. Van der Ven hasn't been available all season. So much pressure is put on those two centre-backs to make game-defining decisions in a split second because Ange just wants his players to put so much pressure on the opposition without the ball. So you look at the running stats and his team is doing high sprint meters, which sometimes are 50% more than the other top teams.
Gosh.
Whether or not he has to tweak that slightly, he won't change things that you can immediately pick up on the eye. He's not going to start playing a 5-4-1 and then sit deep. There's none of that. But yeah, he is being encouraged, and it is the language being used is different to ordinarily, and maybe what he would have gone in with if he didn't go to Celtic or have some runs on the board up there, is that this guy doesn't know what he's doing because he's from Australia. It doesn't feel like that at the moment, Ed.
Well, there's a bit of that. There's a lot of them who are thrilled that it's now going south, so they can put us back in the box. I'm starting to sense a bit of that. There's even like comedy sketches now. Admittedly, they're not funny, and the accent sucks, which is something I used to specialize in. But they
it's all in the past.
Now, fuck some of the accents. Just apparently some of them aren't allowed anymore. But but it tells you the sentiment. Like there's a MasterChef one that was doing the rounds where the guy was sort of doing an impersonation of being recalcitrant, and it just sort of shows. Santo sent it to me, and he's like, "Oh, this shows the mood a bit. You know, we love Ange, but this is." But I don't know. I think he's anyway. So it does. Let's go. Does he last the season? Let's just do a yes or no.
Yes.
No.
James.
No, I don't think he
your
does.
bridging visa.
Can he get?
I'm a citizen now. It came through the other day.
What?
You wouldn't have given that answer if it didn't.
I spoke to Peter Dutton. He told me it was still a maybe.
Ed, you've been around football for a long time in Oz. One thing that struck me, because obviously Ange was in his prime with the national team when I just arrived, but I missed out on his A-League successes. For both of you, has his demeanour always been the same? Because a big criticism over here is that press conferences, he looks at the floor all the time when he's talking to an interviewer, the post-game reporter. Like, has that always been the same, or is that something that feels like it's dragging him down a bit here?
In management mode, very much the same, I reckon, Ed.
Yeah.
He used to work on Fox Sports, and he wasn't like that, thankfully, because it wouldn't have been great television when he's analysing a game. But no, in management mode, yes. And he looks around, and he's always been like that. So that's just him.
And also, I think there's just more of it now. He gets put up against with the same people, with the same stuff, and then the same things he says gets brought back in. Like the set piece thing went on for weeks, and it was started with mildly out of context. It was taken, and then it just did the rounds for 3 weeks because people need content like us. But so that has, as you know, in the UK, James, has its own flywheel. There's almost like a set. There's now like an extra agenda. It used to go what? So post game, print. Radio, pre-game, halftime. Now it goes podcast all the time, daily talk shows. Every ex-player has
coverage.
And now also, Adam, players are splitting themselves into two camps. So they do, I'm wearing a suit and I'm doing the whiteboard on Sky Sports or Match of the Day, being proper me. And then almost all of them now have a podcast where they just riff. So the same person who on one program like Lineker or Neville or whatever can go, well, this sort of, they give TV answer. They then go on their podcast and give the podcast answer, which is normally much more loosey-goosey and scathing. And then the print journalists pick up on that, then the other podcasters pick up on that. And before you know it, you've had 9 days of content from 3 days of life.
Yeah, it's morphing into one, though, because when Gary Lineker said that England were a bit shit in the Euros, that just kicked off 5 days of articles about whether England was shit or not.
And it also created his company. So Goal Hanger, that does, the rest is history. And I strongly urge you to listen to that if you'd like to know the official CIA narratives that those shills are clearly pushing. And then the rest is politics, and now the rest is entertainment, and the rest is classified. That comment, when he sort of dropped the veil or whatever it was, and just said that gave a massive boost to his sort of credibility away from broadcast, which he has now left for that business. It was a really it was a pretty crucial, watershed moment, I reckon, James.
Yeah, definitely. And, this Gary is, we complete on the Gary Lineker tangent here, but Gary's always been one of those people in the UK that has actually got annoyed when journalists in press conferences afterwards, particularly around England, but now it's happening with Sky Sports with Neville and Carragher. If one of them is on the co-commentary or one of them is in the studio after the game,
Right.
where journos would listen to the post-game analysis in the press room before the presser would start, and then rather than formulate their own question and say, listen, I don't think that you were particularly good in the press in the first half, they will then go, Jamie Carragher thinks you were shit at the press in the first half. He's just said it. What do you think? So Gary Lineker was always quite annoyed about those things, but I think now, because of the level of the rest is football and all those podcasts, I think he just embraces it, cashes in.
Yeah. So who's going first with their topic this week? Off Ange. I think we go to Ed. I think we go to the captain.
Oh, really?
Here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just very quickly,
I'll go
I wanna
last
say-
because mine's happy. Mine's unusually happy with a twist.
Weird.
So
It's a bit weird.
yeah.
Weirdo.
So first things first. So I've been reaching out to people to start coming on, and we're going to start doing some interviews and things are looking good, gentlemen. We've got a really good guest coming up. I'll give you a hint. He's written an excellent book called States of Play, and his name's Miguel Delaney. But if you can work it out from that, then good luck. And it was him I saw on Sky Sports. So two things to celebrate. One, congratulations to our major sponsor, Saudi Arabia, for securing the rights to the World Cup. They got the highest, as we
Amazing.
know, they got the highest
Incredible.
score ever, James, for their bid.
Yep.
Yeah.
4.2 out of 5.
It's a
Doesn't matter.
Cinderella story.
Thank you so much. And I think, even though she's not allowed to go to the game, certainly not dressed like that.
No, maybe as a pumpkin.
It's gonna need something a lot more demure than a gold slip and a silver slipper. No, was it glass? What did she wear? Glass.
Glass.
Yeah. So anyway, however, so that's great. Now they've just released some images of some of the stadiums, and I don't know if you've seen where Darth Vader lives, but that's pretty much what we're going to be watching football in. And you'll be happy to know, gentlemen, that this town that is going to be built around the stadium, they've just had that costed, and it's come down. So they're a little bit worried about costs blowing out, but we reckon, me and Saudi Arabia, we had a good chat this morning. We have said that we can bring the stadium and the town around it that currently doesn't exist for $1 trillion. So that's really good. That's a saving.
Yep.
Trillion.
Yep,
Yeah, it's
that's
true.
fine. Money well spent. I mean, especially for all the houses that are going to be used after the World Cup has been and gone and that roadshow has well and truly left town.
It'll set up a renters market at least, what we don't have in Australia.
Well, that's absolutely true. And big thanks to Metricon, who are going to be building it with me. So that's really exciting. It's a really exciting project for us once we finish some
Exactly.
apartments in Rouse Hill. No, just quickly. So my one is, so just quickly, this one is the Man U fiasco this week. How good was this? Man United's finances. So, James, you're over there. You're closer to the pin. So I got a new segment called Billionaires Are Dumb Fuckheads. So this is a new segment, and today it stars Big Jim. They want to call him Big Jim from Ineos. Is he a large man, James, the guy that owns Manchester United?
I think he's tall, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, yeah.
Right.
I think Big might be because they can't be bothered calling him Sir because it's awkward.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. I remember, like Big Prince Andrew, that type of thing. Okay, so now after 5 months, they paid $3 million to secure your bloke, Adam, your head of your director of football. What was his name? The guy that they paid $3 million to get him.
Dan Ashworth, who they got from Brighton, and they did the same thing.
Brighton.
Newcastle got from Brighton. Yep.
So this is the first ever executive to have been paid 2 transfer fees. The first ever non-manager, non-thing. So this guy is the highest paid ever transfer fee for just executive, just a guy in a suit. Is the first time, the highest ever. Anyway, then he goes in and he says he's part of the Den Haag. They were passing the buck. Who was it that made the decision, James? They're not sure. Was it Barado? Was it Big Jim? Who knows? So they kept him on. So just for keeping him the extra, they paid him $3 million to keep him on. Now, how much did it cost to sack him? Do we have a guess?
So they would have paid the big compensation to get him. I reckon contract they would have given him would have been
This Ten Hag we're talking about.
No, Den Haag. We've gone to Den Haag because we'll come back to Ashgrove. We'll come back to his payout. So Den Haag's payout in order to
10
sack
million?
him. Higher.
13.
21. I mean, you won't even get one of my 1-bedroom apartments in my new Saudi Arabian town for that.
No.
And then they've gone to the Portuguese manager, and now they want to report Amorim. They spent $1 million, his $10 million exit clause from Sporting to get him a month earlier, that turned into a week earlier when he said, no, I do actually want to coach this last game. So for an extra week, $1 million a week for that. And then you add that up, and this was all after they sacked, what was it, 200 staff, which saved them $1.5 million. They sacked Alex Ferguson so that they could save another $2.5 million. And while they've done that, they have paid out in excess of close to £40 million to bring in a coach that they said they didn't want 3 months ago and to sack a bloke they just brought in.
The journalism, James, around all of this has been fascinating because no one's dead keen to come out and bag the living crap out of Jim Ratcliffe for making all these decisions.
What's he ever done? Who gives a shit about Big Sir, whatever his name is? Isn't he a chemicals magnate? Fuck do we care? Who cares?
He's got the cash. He owns the club. He can do what he wants. Or he owns a portion of the club, allowing him to do what he wants with the football department. And the Glaziers can do what they want with their loans and the rest of the commercial business. But James, everyone's dancing around the topic of, is Jim Ratcliffe actually doing the right thing here? It's all about the people involved, the moving pieces on the chessboard, the mess of a chessboard that is Manchester United.
Well, we spoke about the club model, didn't we? The group system last week. We spoke about Nice and how seemingly they're not very well run either. Like the whole thing has been a bit of a shit show.
But didn't he ruin the cycling team as well? Didn't he come in at that amazing cycling team and then they went to shit? Yeah. Didn't they go to shit after he joined?
He seems like he's one of those people that maybe I could just picture it almost like Succession. There's a group of people behind him going, no, don't do that. But look at Manchester United. Don't buy it. No, I'm buying it. Fuck you. Then this is what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to appoint him, but he's not very good. But I'm appointing him anyway. I told you he wasn't very good, but we'll sack him. It doesn't matter. So it's like they're just on this football clubs in England, in particular, and I'm sure it's the same with big clubs in Italy, Spain, Germany, particularly in England. They don't seem to do things in a minor. Their screw ups aren't minor screw ups. When they go in, they go on like a downward trend. Right, it seems to last for about 6 years. Arsenal did it. Newcastle did it for a long period of time. Looks like they're coming back up. Chelsea have done it with Todd Bowley, although they've spent £1 billion to get out of that hole. But
isn't he winning? He's currently winning the billionaire in jeans and a cool jacket league at the moment. Isn't he seeming like the smartest one now? Because he's now got 2 squads of players. Like they're going to send people that have to write their own name on the back of their own Chelsea shirt to go to play the Europa League so that they can basically look amazing in the Premier League. Yeah, Conference League. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and so I feel as though this is what you're getting now, but with Manchester United, it's always extrapolated because they are Manchester United. The amount of
how much longer, James? So how much longer? So Adam and James, so this is what I wanted to get to. The idea that it's like Prussia. Prussia used to be a pretty big deal as a country. Like Prussia, you go to Prussia. Oh, they used to mean something. So but that's only because that was big before. It wasn't. So how long is it going to take? Do you think before a fan coming into football or a fan sort of younger fans decide what the big clubs are, and how much longer has Manchester United got to just trade on that legacy?
It's a good question.
I would say they've got another 2 years in terms of performance. In terms of I feel as though they start going back up again. Like I said, Arsenal did it, and it's about, when we spoke about the American ownership last week, it's about appointing the right people. Now, Dan Ashworth was seemingly the right person until he wasn't. Erik ten Hag was never the right person, despite them winning 2 trophies. They spoke to about 3 different people before flying to Ibiza last summer and said, "Oh yeah, you actually are the person we want." He's like, "Clearly not."
Where's that Netflix documentary? Where is that Netflix documentary of them getting on the plane, going to Ibiza, having to push their way through Pasha, and going, that. By the way, I went to Ibiza for my 40th with my school friends because, it's a tragic story, and I appreciate that. And we went to Lionel Messi's favourite nightclub. I question Lionel's taste in entertainment. I mean, if I had seen that on Schoolies back in the day at Service Paradise, when I was served up, I would have been disappointed. It was subpar at best. But, however, we digress.
But I think they've got 2 years with replacing the players that Ten Hag brought in, all his ex-Ajax boys that he doesn't want,
which was
offloading people like Anthony, who's over £80 million and whatever contract he's on, getting rid of people like Harry Maguire, who's on a massive sum of money that they can't shift. All of these things, they have to undo the mistakes that were done, which they were then trying to undo the mistakes that were done before that. So I think he's hammering, if he's going to get it right, he's going to need 2 transfer windows. And even then, if he doesn't get it right, Big Jim will just see me flop his checkbook out on the table and go, "Hey, listen, we'll crack on and we'll do it again because it's my money. I can do whatever I want."
It's just so funny. It's just such a funny, you know what I mean? When you look at those money leagues, Bloomberg money and all that, and then the more you know about how these places are run, the more just like guesswork it seems. It seems as though we've worked out that the best people to run a football club in England are professional gamblers. So Brighton and Bournemouth, is it Bournemouth?
Brentford, I think.
Brentford, sorry. Brighton and Brentford, two gamblers who hate each other. And that is fueling so much of what they do well, Adam. It's like we've worked it out. We've worked it out. Where we go, you know what, we actually just need gamblers, people who know what it's like to lose money. It's amazing.
But they base their success on beating the odds, and they've done it successfully. That's what multimillionaire gamblers do. They look at everything through an algorithm. They take emotion out of it. So maybe that's the new age world with data and everything, and how football will operate in 10 years' time. That's another topic for another day.
Remember when French number 8s were going to solve the world, and every club in Europe was scouring the globe to find a French number 8, and they were, no, that sucks. What's next? Portuguese coaches. Yeah.
Scandinavian strikers. That's what's next.
Scandinavian strikers. I think good, aren't they? I like those. Yeah.
It'll change. But just lastly on Manchester United, they've got the second highest wage bill in the Premier League, and they're not acting like it, are they? So they're wasting a lot of money.
I love it. All right. That's me done.
My topic this week is IFAB. 4 letters that the majority of football fans hate. They hate them. David Ellery, all of these people that just meddle with stuff.
Meddle with stuff. They're continuously improving the game, and I appreciate that.
200
episode 4 of Rosehead FC, brought to you by IFAB.
Yes, please.
But they have actually, I think, listened to people, or maybe they haven't listened to people. I think they'll just pretend that they didn't, even though they did. I think they might have done something positive. This was something that was introduced a while back, but has now finally started to receive the data from the trials they did regarding, I think, most people's biggest pet peeve in football stadia and sitting in their armchairs around the world, goalkeepers hanging onto the ball for too long. Mm-hmm. So there used to be the 5-second rule where you see the striker in down like this.
That was great.
His hands up and counting down his fingers.
Like he was about to go live on TV. Great.
Never ever enforced. Now, a trial that's been successfully undertaken in Malta, Italy, and in the Premier League under 21 league, I think, with 2 different variations. So the trial in Malta was that goalkeepers get 8 seconds with the ball. After that 8 seconds, if they don't drop the ball or play on or get rid of the ball, they then concede a corner. Which I thought, that's quite good to me, rather than being I think it's an indirect free kick, because that can genuinely lead to cock-ups that we don't necessarily want to see. Italy were trialling it with a throw. Now, the data that came in from the Maltese trial was that on 796 occasions, from what they counted when the goalkeeper received the ball, either claiming from a cross or taken from a shot, not once was a corner ever then conceded, because the goalkeepers got rid of the ball within 8 seconds. This is one of the best things that IFAB have done in ages, because it just speeds up the game. It gets the ball back in play, which is what we actually wanted to see, rather than goalkeepers taking a cross and fall into the floor on top of the ball. The Jordan Pickford special. He's notorious for doing it, old T-Rex arm. So,
hey, why did they ban people taking inflatable T-Rexes to the games? That was one of the funniest things that's ever happened.
That and inflatable cocks. That was a fun one anyway.
Yeah, right. That was for Harry. That's so. That's okay. I've just read this now. Yeah, I've just read this, and that's fantastic.
That is what their good thing they've done this year, or the last 5-10 years. I think personally. The other thing I wanted to throw in is how you feel about this.
Sorry, James, I'll just say that they're still in deficit heavily when it comes to good v bad, what they've done to the game with those. I think it was 200 law tweaks over the past 5 or 6 years that they've come up with.
200 laws.
Since David Ellery's taken charge, isn't it?
There wasn't. And then IFAB got involved and has become a dictionary the size of the law book. So anyway, sorry, James.
So the other one that I wanted to get your take on, gents, is, because I think we're all in agreement that's a great idea, especially as an Arsenal fan. Corners, more the merrier. Thanks very much.
Yeah. Okay. And the other one is that goalkeepers in long pants have been banned.
Yeah.
Gabor Kiraly, what a legend. The other one I wanted to introduce is that they're going to try, from what I was reading recently, and look at Arsene Wenger's proposal of introducing the daylight between the last defender and the attacker to separate offsides. Now, in theory, this sounds good, But I still think you're then going to have
A grey area
super
of what's
zoomed in.
daylight.
super zoomed in. Are
Yeah.
their fingers overlapping with the outstretched arm of the defender and the outstretched arm of the attacker? Like, I just think that's not going to work. So I like Jurgen Klopp's initial idea. His throwaway comment was make the lines thicker on TV.
Well, they did it in Holland, I think. They did that in Holland. The Dutch got the shits with having these minimal offsides, and I don't know if it's still a thing. So any of our
They
Eredivisie
certainly got nice thick
listeners
lines
or
in a
viewers.
beat,
well, that's for our other pod.
thick lines.
But that's the solution. By the way, Jurgen Klopp's in Australia at the moment, so shout out to anyone who has
hang on. What?
popped
What are you
into.
talking about?
He
Yeah,
was
he is.
spotted in Port Douglas. He was spotted in
That's
Adelaide.
not Australia. That's Australia. The first
And I
part's
think-
not. Hang on, which order did he go? Because if you go Port Douglas,
was-
Adelaide, you are going to be
Queensland first.
You are going to
and
be
then-
disappointed. No, you want to go Adelaide, Port Douglas, Jurgen. Hang on. So why was he? Let's not forget that
Holiday.
when but Adelaide, no, Jurgen Klopp is not holidaying in Adelaide. That is
What
just
if he's
not
going to every city to make his mind up about a future in Australia? And maybe
a Red Bull club.
a Red Bull club, potentially. He hasn't officially started with Red Bull yet. But, yeah,
You are killing it.
Red Bull Manly
Oh my God,
United.
Hey, here he is.
Yeah.
What's it like to have
That's
a beer
someone on the
with
board
you?
there.
What a
Hey, he's
dickhead.
been here. He's been here in He was in Darwin. What is going on?
He's having he's being a German tourist. He's going everywhere with a big smile on his face.
Hang on.
He's loving it.
He's Australian. He's in Adelaide. Your
Yeah,
story
he's
checks out. This is
Absolutely loving
quite
life down
incredible.
It
But why is
is
he here?
like
But no,
it.
but seriously, why is he here? What's going on? This is weird. What's he going on?
here. He is on holidays. I
Yeah,
remember
but
a
not in
couple of years
Adelaide.
ago.
People don't go to Adelaide on holiday. They don't. So I need
Yes,
to
they
know
do.
why he's there. No, they don't.
Yeah, well, Adelaide have that German-speaking town just north of Adelaide. Maybe he's visiting there, wondering what that's about. He's got enough money to travel around.
Andorf.
Germans
There it is.
go to Ibiza and Argentina. If you catch my drift.
And
So-
Thailand.
And Thailand.
Yeah. But the good thing about Klopp being here did make me laugh. I saw somebody posted a photo with him, and in typical German bluntness, they went, "What are you doing here?" And he went, "It's called a holiday."
That's
And they
great.
give
But
us
it's very
a-
Australian
still have
too,
a
by the way.
photo.
But
Sure.
also, that's very Australian to go, what are you doing here, mate? But even the people within Adelaide, even the people of Adelaide know to ask, what are you doing here? We have to be here. You don't. What are you doing here? This is the best
What's wrong with Adelaide? I don't mind
Yeah,
Adelaide.
what have they done?
Wait.
What did they do to you? Did you get booed there or something?
No. I had my most productive 2 weeks ever, but 3 weeks. So they, it's just if you're coming to Australia, right?
Yeah.
It's like if I go, it's like, so let's just change this. Okay,
Okay.
you guys want to come to America with me?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Just say, yeah,
Yeah.
great, cool. All right, sweet. All right, so we can either go to Hawaii,
Yeah.
or Dayton, Ohio. Which would you like?
Good golf courses in Ohio, so probably both.
All right, we're going to Delaware then.
Visit Joe Biden. Sure.
You can't. You can go to community. So I've been to Delaware,
And
right? It sucks. Hardcore.
Well, can't be great.
So
can't be
my
all
point
great.
is, you two can't tell me that if we were going to America, you would prefer to go to Dayton, Ohio, than go to Hawaii. Adelaide's a great place, good to live. But if you're coming here on holiday, you ain't going there. If you're going to Port
Perhaps he
Douglas,
likes what he likes is wine. I
Yes.
reckon he does like his
That
wine.
could save the day. There you go.
You might have got me there.
I
He's
think
seen
so.
that ad.
I
He
think
saw that
so.
ad. He saw that
Yeah.
ad. He saw that
Yeah.
Adelaide wine ad
No.
that tried to
I once
pretend that
saw at
everyone...
the Australian. This is totally off topic. Oh no, kind of on brand. Tall German
We like
managers
it. We like it.
walking through 2 years ago at the Australian Open, and it was only a couple of weeks, I think, after he got the punt from somewhere. And I walked past and I went, "That looks remarkably like Thomas Tuchel, but can't be him because check his Wikipedia page. I actually can be him because he doesn't have a job." Tommy Tuchel came
Yeah.
down and watched the tennis, just to watch the tennis for a week, and then went all the way back.
Was he being harangued?
No,
It was
no one knew
after
who
he
he
got-
was.
Flicked by, it might have been Bayern. Was it Bayern? It was
No,
it
it was
last
before
year,
that.
or the
Might
year
have been
before?
Chelsea. Might have been Chelsea.
Chelsea. And he said afterwards, one of the things that he'd always wanted to do was to go and watch the Australian Open.
There you go.
And then there you go.
I mean, he didn't go to Adelaide. He
to
didn't
be
go to
fair,
see
if
the
I-
Adelaide hardcourt, did he? He went to the Australian Open.
What's
If I'd
point
just been
proven?
paid out 15 million, I'd be fine. Yeah, I'll go watch the tennis.
what managers are out of a job yet that we can expect at the Australian Open this coming January, potentially?
Well, Ange, Mourinho,
Oh, don't be like that. Ange will be fine.
Sam.
Mourinho.
Big
Sam.
Oh, Big Sam. Does anyone have a contact for Big Sam? Of all people I want to speak to in football, it's Big Sam Allardyce. That is
You'll know
what
someone
I
who
want
knows someone.
in life. Well,
Yeah.
if anyone knows Big Sam Allardyce, please let him know we're after him. All right, we are killing it today. So, Mr. Peacock, you're up.
Happy story from Brazil with a twist. I'll bring in the twist in a second. Firstly, when I was researching this story, I then went down this deep rabbit hole of great Brazilian names in terms of footballers. And I'm not talking Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Garrincha, Jairzinho.
Here we go.
I'm talking Botafogo's goalkeeper, John.
Yeah.
John.
Yes.
The central defender of Fluminense, I think he's still playing, Gum. And various...
That's great. Gum is
They
great.
reckon Gum was named as such because
great.
part of his name sounds like that in Portuguese.
That's just
But
great.
I'm yet to see
Gum.
a Google photo with him actually smiling where I can see his teeth. So I've got
Gum
I've
is
got my ideas about where they've got Gum.
just
Hulk?
yeah.
Hulk was named that because he
Yeah,
looked big
Ulki.
as a kid.
Yeah, because he's big Ulki, they call him. When you hear Brazilian, I love when Brazilian commentators go on English podcasts, like Natalie Jedra she used to be ESPN Brazil. She's really good, and she does the Romario and Ulki. She uses the words to put
Full,
yeah, it's the best. Sounds so good. I love it. Yep, that's a good one. What about
I think we should just get her on to pronounce Brazilian names. That's a whole podcast.
It was Fred.
Oh, mate, I was in the front row at the World Cup when he scored against us, and if there's one angle of it which I've never seen again. It's like the Nix film and the JFK assassination. What happened was Zapruder's on the other side. For God's sake, mate. Don't know my history. Ooh, baby. So there's one angle which I can never find again. It was on the FIFA website. It's gone, where you can see my mate Pete in the front row, and as the goal goes in, he's trying to take some sausage out of a German sandwich he's bought that he doesn't like. And so you can, the whole stadium's going crazy, and Pete's got his head down, and you just see a little piece of hair, a little bit of bratwurst come up out of his little paw as the goal goes in. And there's only one angle of it. I've never been able to find it again.
I thought you were going to say you threw it at Fred.
So good. Oh, well, I did. In retrospect, we should have, because, yeah, anyway. Geez, Harry Kewell missed some chances in that game. Oh, God. No, I'm not done. I'm over it.
Didn't miss his chance to bag the ref.
Adam, there's one more I wanted to throw in, which you may be aware of, because I think he does play for the team you're going to talk about. The brilliantly named Alan.
Yeah, Alan.
I think a couple of years ago, there was like 30 Garys christened in England. You don't get Garys, Ians, Allens anymore.
It'll
Real
come
names.
Anyway, the story is Botafogo winning the big double out of Brazil. So Serie A, which they won their third title, first since 1995.
Wow.
And they won the Copa Libertadores as well for the first time ever. That's the South American Continental Championship. And it's an incredible football culture in Rio, because there's 4 massive clubs, and they were formed as sports clubs. Botafogo was a bit different. It was formed as a rowing club.
So why it's got the...
Yeah. Well, I think their full name bleeds into regattas. I don't know my Portuguese, but I can only assume that's something to do with the regatta, which you do when you row boats. So... Yeah, so they actually formed as a club, because they were a rowing club and a football club co-joined, but they weren't officially as one until the mid-40s, when they decided to make it totally formal on the day that the Immaculate Conception is observed, December 8, 1942. So this is an incredible football club steeped in history. And you can actually, around the main lagoon in Rio, you can ride around, and you ride past Flamengo's museum and everything in their home. And then you go to the other side of the lake, and you ride past where Botafogo centralised itself and became a football club. But yeah, a massive story and heartwarming stuff.
If you're in Adelaide, you can get a paddle boat. You can actually get a paddle, just like a little paddle, one-person paddle
down the Adelaide River,
just to go past Hindmarsh Stadium.
The Torrens, I should say.
Torrens,
I should say.
That's what you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
But I did notice when they lifted or tried to lift or kind of hoiked up the copper.
See if I got this.
This is a massive trophy.
Yeah, you sent it to me, and I'm going to try and send it.
And you're bringing in the trophy that I got a photo next to?
Yeah, I can't because there's something weird's going on, but I will put it in.
See what I'll do for our YouTube. We'll put it in there, but for our YouTube.
There for YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I can do it like this if you want, like I did another one, which was not that long ago. I think this is our pilot episode when we realised we needed to do it properly. But there it is.
I'll put it in here. Just it'll go in. I'll put it in there. That's fantastic.
For our audio listeners, we'll put it on Twitter.
Yeah, there you go.
For our audio listeners, that's a big effing trophy.
It's as tall as you, and it's as wide, and you're leaning on it, which you shouldn't be doing, and it looks like a statue. It's massive.
2.1 meters, 120 kilos, and it was won by Fluminense. It's in their museum, which is an incredible. These Brazilian clubs do museums very well. But they won this trophy, named after a chocolate company, in 1938 after winning the most games between Flamengo and Fluminense in the state championships, which they run concurrently to their national leagues as well. So that's the trophy they got in 1938.
That is amazing.
For winning that. But back to Botafogo, there was it was beautiful, great moments. Everyone's going off their brains. The Brazilians know how to celebrate. It's great for this old historic club to have some success once again, until you realise it's part of a football group. John Textor, the American businessman, owns 90% of this club, and he's been able to shuffle players around. He owns a club in Belgium. He's a big shareholder in Lyon in France. And he's got a stake in Crystal Palace, but he's trying to get his hands on Everton. So, I mean, he's doing better than one of the other clubs in Rio. I forget which one. But
yes.
They've got 777 as part of their ownership group.
So they're in all sorts.
Yeah.
It's either
It's
like they got Red Bull. The Red Bull one's going well. The 777 one's in all sorts, and Textor's sort of somewhere in the middle. Yes.
So Textor's setting up his own, and this is going to happen more. Like, people think that the Manchester City thing and the City Football Group is a bit of an outlier because they do it well. They farm players in, they sell a lot of players out of their academy, and then it all goes out, and they've got the mothership in Manchester, which, like, if you're going to run a business, it's a well-oiled machine. But this, now Red Bull are thinking about doing it. An American businessman who, like, off-Broadway kind of guy, not really known, and then he comes in and buys majority stakes in all these clubs. I can see in 20 years, there will be 100 of these around the world.
Really? Do you think this is it now? This is what we do? It sort of makes it, look, in some ways it makes sense, to be honest, because if you get stuck with the one owner, like, it does make sense if you're trying to spread out, capital and trying to influence, really, doesn't it? If you're trying to, I mean, doesn't it help Melbourne City that they're part of the City Group?
Absolutely,
really?
100%. They wouldn't have a facility if they didn't. I think I learned in the last week that there's one country who block all of this, who will just say no to, I think, even foreign investment. I could be wrong there, but certainly multi-clubs or even owning feeder teams in lower divisions. That's Sweden. It's just very...
That's right.
Like,
and they don't have
very much like you've got to own your own club and you have a sense of community about it. But guys, I don't know about you, but I can just see this becoming the norm. And then, like, fans of Crystal Palace I did notice, though, that John Textor had an issue not that long ago when Crystal Palace, who have got a left-wing faction as part of their Ultras main supporter group.
Yeah, they sit in as you come out of the tunnel, right on the right-hand side, they'll still dress in black.
Lyon.
Oh, is that right? Is that them?
Which Textor...
Very good atmosphere they make, to be fair, at Sellers Park.
Textor bought into Lyon, and little did he know that they've got a big Ultras group with a heavy right-wing leaning. Fantastic. So there was an issue for John when he got out the front of Selhurst Park one day and said, "What have you done?" And he goes, "I don't care, you're all fans," and then just walked away, basically.
That's maybe he is the only thing that can bring us all together. You know what I mean? Maybe the Textor, do you know, let's play, how did he make his money? This is almost my favourite thing with real super rich dudes. How did he make his money? Let's have a guess. How did he make his money?
I think it was streaming. It was media, wasn't it? Textor?
Just before that. That's how he got really rich. Yeah, internet, businesses, art, technology. Yeah, liquid valuation of 10 billion, jets to digital, whatever. But before that, this is great. 1996.
Non-fungible tokens?
That's fantastic. No,
you'll
never get it. You'll never get it.
I'm going to go something really off-piste and say, like, he had the favourite is always when they're in construction and concrete.
Well,
and nobody wants to know where that money comes from.
You accidentally almost got it because you said off-piste, which is a skiing term, and it was in snowboards. First made his money in snowboards.
He was an elite skateboarder.
Yes, he was. And then bought into the snowboards, invented the snowboarding championships in Whistler, and then went from there. So, what a great episode we've heard. Now, I'm going to try and clear up some things because we got a bit of mail around someone that you brought up last week, the mascot for the... Boilerman.
Can we call this Ed's bin? Just what you're plucking out of your, like,
Cavalier corner.
Because off topic. I love it because we've got no idea, James, do we? What's coming?
I thought I was smart because I had a video of the Boiler Man that we've been talking about.
Yes. Oh, it was the one I got sent.
Yes, I had a video that'll go in here. So if you're watching, we'll post that as well. So we'll post that here. So this is the official. So we're looking. If you've got a better mascot than this, please send it to us because that is Boiler Man. All right, last game. Last game I've got for you today it's called Guess the Attendance. I give you a Saudi Pro League match, and you tell me how much. What you've got to remember that we've got to remember that we're spending $1 trillion to build a city.
Yep.
Ooh, in the
Renters
desert.
market.
Ooh, with a stadium in the middle, thanks to Metricon, with a stadium that looks like where Darth Vader lives. Okay, so and with that in mind, I'd just like you. I'll give you the game. You tell me. Guess the attendance. All right, here we go. Okay.
You do need theme music.
Al Wader's 3-2 home defeat to Al Dude on Friday night. Now, Al Wader have
Craig Goodwin, don't they?
Craig Goodwin.
Thank you. He scored. Idon Igalo and Craig Goodwin. Okay,
Igalo's
Christian
there.
Basong, Ibrahim Kone on the other side. So how many people guess the attendance for that 3-2 thriller in the Saudi Pro League?
320.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Jeez.
And 74.
Yeah, lower.
Okay.
1700.
Oh, no, you wish. Wow.
900.
Lower.
412. Did the Ultras riot and it's a lockout?
Was it played behind closed doors or something?
The attendance, 405 people.
400.
400.
7 off with my 7th guess.
Those are 7 workers that died in the building the stadium. So 405
405.
for the where the World Cup is.
Yeah.
It's where the World Cup is.
Oh,
Just
well, Al
400
Hilal get good crowds.
Do they what? Or else? They were the only ones that have a thing which is called a season pass, or else you're showing up, or else. So we'll play again next week.
I'm never going to go to a Newcastle game ever again.
Well, they love you there. I'm
Not after this.
on board. I'm on board with the
Yeah.
project. I am
Adam
deeply on.
loves the Saudis as well.
I cannot wait for Miguel next week. And I'm going to leave this jersey up behind me, the Newcastle 94
And I don't
jersey.
remind him that you two had an argument. I've been sucking up to him, and I've read his book. I love him. Don't you remind him that you two had a spat, because he talks about that in
Could
other
be another one
interviews.
coming.
Don't you? Oh God, what have I done? All right. Well, you can see where can we find you, gentlemen?
James?
On Instagram. Hit us all up on there individually.
do?
Any
James,
questions you have?
are you doing any press for us while you're over there?
Can do. I'm going to a few games. I'm going to Arsenal Everton this
Well,
weekend.
can you get
which
a
is really
press?
good.
Peacock, can you get him a Stan Sports press pass so we can go and do some
No.
chats for us?
He'll have to ring Claude's from Optus to get that because they've got the rights to that particular venture. So, yeah.
You could get me, if you really wanted to be nice, you could wrangle me an Arsenal Monaco to give for tonight. If you
What
want
about that, Peacock?
Bit of notice would have been handy,
I
Jack.
can get you into Al Weda versus Al Doctor. I can get you. I can get you.
How many do you want?
I can get you 17,000 tickets. All right, thank you. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're everywhere, and we will catch you. If you've got an idea for a guest, hit us up on the YouTube channel, leave us a comment, and we'll catch you next time. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.